The Greatest Showman opens with an antique version of the 20th Century Fox fanfare, and as I sat in my seat I couldn't help but think, what will the Disney takeover on the horizon have in store for such an iconic logo? Little did I know that I was about to watch the most Disney-fied movie of the year. I will explain all. Now, this video will include some spoilers, but they will be clearly marked, and if you want to skip them, you can use the chapter times, which I've so lovingly put in the description. Let's get going. So, the movie starts with this opening sequence that brought a tear to my eye. It was just so wonderful. It was like It's a Wonderful Life meets a Disney musical, and the songs were just so good. Straight away, you have this child singing a cute song and a montage of them working to achieve their dream. And from the off, it's clear that you're watching a very specific genre of cheesy musical theatre. But if you love that genre, and I appreciate a lot of people hate that genre, and if you hate that genre, you hate the film, but if you love it like I do, you will fall in love with this film. And mid-song, you have child P.T. Barnum growing into Hugh Jackman, and it's wonderful. Hugh is 100% the star of this film. I've written, who is the greatest showman, P.T. Barnum or Hugh Jackman? Because I'm a nerd. I suspect the working title of this film was actually Hugh Jackman, the musical. After Les Mis, which I think a lot of people give him flack for, a lot of people didn't like him in Les Mis, I think he's now redeemed himself in the musical theatre world. He's great! I love it. But despite Hugh hogging all the screen time, who did I love more? Zac Efron. After the Neighbours franchise and Baywatch, the less said about them the better, he's returned to his musical theatre roots, and it's amazing. Troy Bolton is back. When he first starts to sing The Other Side in a bar with Hugh Jackman, it's like Troy and his dad have travelled back to the 1800s and you're watching a High School Musical all over again, whether you see that as a good thing or not. Personally, I loved it. And his duet with Zendaya, another alumni of the Disney Channel, is amazing. As she and Zac Efron fly around doing acrobatics while singing and not at all out of breath, you feel like you're watching a Disney Channel movie. It feels fake, but in the way it's meant to. It's musical theatre. That's just what it is. But I will say, here is where I think the film does stumble a bit, and warning, from here on there may be spoilers. So as I mentioned at the start, the film does have a distinct Disney family-friendly tone to it, which in the first 30 minutes and the first 5 songs works perfectly. I loved it. But the story of P.T. Barnum that the film is based on is actually very non-family friendly. The invention of the circus was also arguably the invention of a new realm of animal cruelty. Not very Disney, that, is it? The only reference in the film is a few CGI elephants and lions in the background. And then when Barnum's theatre is on fire, there is one line that references them at all. It is so cringy. Someone's like, but what about the animals? And a guy goes, I freed them, of course. And then they go back to worrying about Zac Efron. Cringe. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Forget about the fire. There'll be lions and tigers wandering the streets perfectly fine and not at all enslaved and now burned alive. But more generally, the setting for the film involves a group of outcasts due to class, disability and race. And the movie tries to touch on all of that, all at once. And as a result, it not only fails to tell the story of P.T. Barnum, but because the truth is pretty messy, I think it fails to tackle pretty much anything. I have no problem taking a time period and glossing over all the nasty parts that aren't directly relevant to the story. I think Beauty and the Beast is a great example of doing that well. Otherwise, you'd never be able to tell a family-friendly historical story again. But the conflict in this film is based on the nasty bits, and as a result, the glossy and the nasty collide, and I think the story suffers because of it. 2017 values in the 1800s. The vast majority of the screen time is given to Barnum, who actually was not a very nice guy in real life, I would argue, and I think they glossed over him so much that it feels a little bit disjointed. Midway through the movie, he rejects his family and friends in favour for Rebecca Ferguson's character, Katrine Bratt, a European opera singer. But then at the end, his friends and family are all lovely to him, despite him being frankly horrible to them throughout the second act of the movie. Bit weird. In real life, Katrine Bratt was probably the nicest character in the story, but in the film, I don't think she comes across that way. Have you seen the film? And if so, what did you think? I'd be intrigued to hear in the comments down below. And when things do get serious in the second act, they stop singing, which is bizarre. It's musical theatre. Sing through the misery. What are you doing? Arguably, the only sad song in the whole film is Tightrope, sung by Michelle Williams, who plays Mrs. Barnum. But you see so little of her in the movie up until that point, other than that she's this loving wife and loving mother. I'm like, sorry, but who are you? You're wandering through a mansion moaning about something, and I'm apparently supposed to care. The film tries to tackle race with Zac Efron and Zendaya's characters' relationship, but again, with so little screen time for those characters, it doesn't quite feel authentic to me. Generally, a theme in this film is all the great characters didn't get enough screen time. I wanted to learn more about them, but we were too busy watching Hugh Jackman. But ultimately, at the end of the film, all the characters are in exactly the same position as they are 30 minutes into the film, and that's weird. But the songs and dance routines are just so good, I keep saying that, but it's true, that it's so fun to watch, I don't think it ultimately matters. But, just for fun, who is to blame? I would say Michael Gracey, the director. Who? Exactly. I looked him up, and this is his first major film, and I think it shows. At time, I was confused as to where I was. Oh, we're in London. Oh, we're on a beach. I think second time watching, whenever they aren't singing and dancing, i.e. in the middle of the movie, you'll be bored and waiting for the tunes to start up again. So, in conclusion, if you love musical theatre, then you will definitely love this film, based purely on the all-star cast and feel-good musical sequences. I certainly did. And you should go and see it on the biggest screen and with the best sound system possible with some of your theatre buddy friends. I put sat in the cinema is like being sat in the theatre at a fraction of the cost. Yes, I'm looking at you, West End and Broadway, you little snakes. But this is no La La Land, and I think its best shot at an award is probably going to be for its soundtrack. So that was my review for The Greatest Showman. I'll leave some more of my movie related videos around here if you want to watch another one, and if you've seen the film, please let me know what you thought down in the comments and let's start a discussion. I'll be intrigued to hear what you've got to say. But all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon. I'm trying to complain, but it's so hard when the music's so catchy. Wow.